Circling the star Alpha Centauri, ages ago, was a planet unlike any other in the heavens, Cybertron. No rock or soil or sand contributed to its bizarre geography. Its content was entirely mechanical. Cybertron existed from metallic surface to core as a vast Saturn-sized machine world. A world whose origins were lost in the dead past. Yet life had evolved here. It had grown and adapted, and thrived in its environment remarkably well. Cities arose across a broad mechanical expanse. Cities that were the products of Cybertron's dominant life form. The Autobots. Whereas life elsewhere in the cosmos usually evolved through carbon bonding, here it was the interaction of naturally occurring gears, levers, and pulleys that miraculously brought forth sentient beings. They created a mechanical paradise, a machine-filled landscape where every Autobot went about his pursuits in peace and prosperity. But every paradise has its serpent, and on this world it was Megatron, commander of those who called themselves the Decepticons. Look at them below, contented fools, ripe for our conquest. Indeed, Ravage, we have lived peacefully with the Autobots for eons, slowly, secretly gathering our strength and pursuing our technology. Now we shall strike at those who have brought the stagnation of peace and plenty to Cybertron. They shall learn the way of conflict, the way of war, the way of Megatron. In the weeks that followed, Decepticons from everywhere reported for clandestine meetings to learn the logistics of the coming clash and their parts in the struggle. The wonders of their technology bestowed upon the Decepticons the awesome ability to transform into weapons of unprecedented power. With these tasks completed, all was in readiness for the first assault. Strike! Strike with all the might at our command! Death to the Autobots and the decay they stand for. The war spread until it was a global conflict. The forces unleashed were staggering, inconceivable even. And each attack upon an Autobot stronghold was orchestrated with the precision of which only fine-tuned machinery is capable. As the powers at play grew in strength, Cybertron itself was shaken loose from its orbit and sent hurtling through space. And still the war raged across the scarred surface of the runaway planet. Though taken by surprise and destroyed by the billions in the initial assaults, the surviving Autobots were not defenseless. Each was gifted with the ability to alter his configuration into strange, unearthly vehicles. Vehicles of great offensive potential. And while the Decepticons in their armored aircraft shapes swooped down upon the many Autobot city-states erected during the war, the Autobot warriors stood firm and fought back. In time, the magnificent armies on each side of the struggle became known as the Transformers. Despite the valor of the Autobots, the Decepticons had planned the pattern of the war too well. Autobot casualties mounted everywhere, and in the forefront of the most devastating attack stood the malevolent Megatron, whose deadly fusion cannon spewed endless streams of energy that laid waste to entire Autobot strongholds. Soon we Decepticons will have ground our enemies under our heel, and we shall begin our prime task, rebuilding Cybertron into a cosmic dreadnought. We shall turn our very planet into the single most deadly weapon in the existence. Then let the universe beware. But from Iacon, the greatest of city-states, there came a leader to inspire the Autobots in their hour of deadliest peril. Optimus Prime. Of all the Autobots, only he, wise and powerful beyond understanding, was able to unite the scattered warriors into a fully effective fighting force. Using his ability to transform into a combat vehicle, Optimus possessed a firepower potential that none but Megatron could match. Under the leadership of Optimus Prime, the Autobots repelled the Decepticons' assaults with renewed vigor and rebuilt their fallen city-states until again they functioned as sanctuaries. And so the war raged for over 1,000 years as Cybertron continued its mad rush through the cosmos. Until came the day when danger threatened from without as well as within. Cybertron's course had placed it into directly the path of an asteroid belt. Autobot astronomers relayed the danger instantly. A meeting of the Autobot elders was called. And that is what confronts us, my friends. The homeworld will perish unless we act now. Whether racked by war or not, this is our world, sire. One day we will reclaim it, but first, this threat must be met. I shall lead a specially selected group into space itself to clear a path through the asteroids, but there is another danger. Our flight will expose us to the attack of the Decepticons. Those accompanying me might perish in the attempt to save Cybertron, but I shall be there to meet the enemy should he strike. Unknown even to Optimus, his words were heard by the Decepticon Ravage, whose detection by any monitoring device was virtually impossible. Megatron will be pleased to hear of this, I am certain. The Autobots labored to construct a craft that would propel them into the void, a craft dubbed the Ark. Meanwhile, inside the foreboding castle Decepticon that was home to Megatron, "You have done well, Ravage. Your abilities to absorb electromagnetic radiation and thus remain undetected are enviable qualities, and ever shall they be in the service of the Decepticon Empire, my lord. See that you never waver, Master of Stealth. All too often the nature of the spy is to weigh his loyalties and switch when he feels the time is right. Never, great Megatron. Now what is our course of action? We shall construct our own spacecraft and pursue Optimus and his fools into space. Strike when they are weakest. After the completed task, the death of their beloved ruler will be so demoralizing the remaining Autobots will surrender, and that will be a certainty." Ahead, the sons of Cybertron unleashed a celestial display of power seldom seen, as huge chunks of spaceborne rocks were pulverized, clearing the necessary pathway. And inside the spacecraft, "Fellow Autobots, we have succeeded through your efforts, and soon our world will pass safely through this dangerous segment of space and travel near the lifeless third planet of this solar system before going beyond. Let us rejoice in our achievement as we return to Cybertron, and let us redouble our efforts to end the slaughter that has consumed our world for so many centuries. We must make peace with the enemy, with the Decepticons." But the words of Optimus Prime were lost in the sudden pen. The surprise attack violently shook the Ark and its occupants. Swiftly, the Autobots regrouped and retaliated, but their efforts were impossible to sustain. "We're too weak after the exertion of destroying the asteroids. Our firepower, no match. Even the safety of the Ark was insufficient. Our hull is breached. Prepare to resist the Decepticon boarding party." But the Decepticons were fresh, fully fueled for the battle, and the endeavored Autobots were cut down where they stood. "My computations show defeat is imminent. Within 5.7 minutes, sir. Optional courses of action include, we have but one course open to us, Prowl, one of the most trusted of my advisors. I had anticipated such a move by the Decepticons. The Ark and its secrets must never fall into enemy hands, so I plotted an alternate course that would take us on a suicidal heading directly into the third planet of this solar system. Farewell, my friend. Though we may die, at least our enemies are taken with us." The impact was awesome. Huge clouds of dust and ash blanketed the nearby terrain as the spacecraft embedded itself in a volcanic mountain.
Silence for over 4 million years. Nothing disturbed the crypt-like atmosphere within that dormant structure. And then, like a sleeper rudely awakened, the volcano erupts in a crescendo of explosive brilliance. The eruption uncovers an object buried some 40,000 centuries ago, an alien object, pocketed and pitted by the passage of time, time which has changed the face of this planet and those who dwell upon it. The currently dominant species has named this world they rule Earth, this volcano Mount St. Hilary. They have marked the movement of time numerically. As it is reckoned, the date is 1984. But all that means nothing here. Time and place have seemingly little significance to those who lay within this rotting hulk. The shroud of darkness has descended again, here for perhaps another 4 million years. Or perhaps not. Pinpricks of light appear inside the craft, and the barely audible hum of machinery awakened by the titanic blast. Beacons flare, probing the darkness, illuminating the dark, cavernous walls. In the side of the great ship, a hatch that has remained closed for millennia now opens. From it, a device is launched forth. It is a sensor drone. Its mission, gather data for transmission back to the Ark. The scout craft relays its telemetry to the mothership. Although it was state-of-the-art technology when designed, its databanks possess only the capability of perceiving mechanical life forms. Thus, the many carbon-based species pass below unnoticed by the active drone. Sensors confirm this is not Cybertron or any world in the Alpha Centauri star system. Scanning sequence continuing. Finally, miles from its point of origin, this probe picks up signals from what its circuits say must be one of the planet's indigenous life forms. The configuration bears a striking resemblance to Decepticon attack forms. The drone swiftly pilots its return to the Ark. Forests teeming with countless life forms appear utterly dead to the drone, but an Oregon interstate highway sends a stream of data back into the Autobot probe, almost overloading its circuits with information. Functionally, they resemble the vehicular Autobot forms. An automation affinity exists, and that seems enough. But there is more, much more. Creatures of seemingly unending variety and shapes, mechanically and electrically alive to the drone's sensors. Back to the Ark and resurrection. The ship's brain dispatches revival drones to awaken its long-dormant crew, commencing revival procedures. True to its programming, the Ark alters the structure of its inhabitants, rebuilding them to be able to change their shapes in accordance with the mechanical life detected beyond the Ark, the better to ensure survivability. But its memory banks were damaged in the ages ago crash, and knowledge of the Great War was erased. Thus, friend and foe alike are equally subject to its attentions. The Ark's alterations are such that the basic nature of each robot is preserved. The Autobots are programmed to imitate earthly vehicles, and the Decepticons will resemble earthly weapons and communications devices. Both factions, if necessary, can revert to their original robotic forms.
Megatron, what has happened? Where are we? The ship's brain imparted the information on locale to our circuitry. We crash-landed on this world ages ago and have been in a state of dormancy since until an explosion reawakened the Ark. And it revived us, Soundwave. The Autobots, too, though groggy, have arisen from their stasis. Let us finish the task that has driven our kind for centuries. But first, are all accounted for on this brave new world? Skywarp's up for raiding, sir, and my teleportational power right inside the midst to make mischief. As ever, Thundercracker, your cause, great Megatron. Our land-bound enemy will be picked off as if I will soar over them. As the fastest, most maneuverable Decepticon jet flies, I, Starscream, shall continue to accumulate Autobot body counts that enhance the reputation of our leader. On the Speegism Star, Rumble's back in town, and I'm going to shake the place up with some low-frequency ground waves. You hit them from up top, and I'll do the job down here. Frenzy will shatter our opponent's equilibrium using high-pitched sound waves. I will not cease until every Autobot is slain. And you, Soundwave? I will monitor transmissions and read Autobot electrical impulses to learn their plans. Even my photographic memory serves as a defensive weapon. Does that compare with Ravage's power to some undetected anywhere? My own monitoring devices in my nose module allow me to smell, hear, and detect electromagnetic radiation beyond that of any Decepticon.
It pales next to the artistry of Buzzsaw. I can pinpoint a hex nut at 20 miles within my optical sensors, and my beak has carved many an Autobot warrior into a masterpiece of scrap metal. Just leave some for Laserbeak, comrades. Allow me a few struggling survivors of our battle, and I'm certain I'll pry some useful information from them, my optical lasers, even if they die in the telling. Come, our time to strike is later. The ship's brain has placed into our circuits the knowledge that this world possesses enormous, untapped fuel resources. Resources we can exploit in our struggle against the Autobots. Why not strike now, my leader? In the Autobot threat in this world is ours. For the taking. What flawed logic persuades you otherwise? Sound logic persuades me, Starscream. We are still weak ourselves, and few in number. One of our mightiest is missing. Our fuel source is uncertain. Should our attack fail, the might of Optimus could well decide the outcome. We must leave. We will fight, Starscream, but at a time and place of our choosing. At that, Megatron orders his Decepticons to turn and retreat, and while retreating, to transform. The Decepticons tear through the Ark's ancient walls and flee out the volcano. Did you see their shapes, Great Optimus? Warlike forms, native to this world, no doubt. The Ark has given us the information necessary to understand this prowl. Apparently, we can now transform into likenesses of beings who inhabit this world, as the Decepticons have done. Now let me ensure that our people have survived intact. Ironhide's ready to roll, Prime. I may be old and ornery, but my steely old skin hasn't been dented yet in battle, and I got a bunch of new liquids I want to test in my water gun. Yes, sirree. I say we leave right now and forget about trespassing after the stupid Decepticons. I'll use my stress testing sensors and mathematical skill to rebuild the Ark and get us back to Cybertron where we belong. Come on, Huffer, get with it. I only require a drop of fuel to run, so I'm going to explore this whole planet, especially since the Ark said so much of it is water, and Bumblebee little levers love a good swim. Well, Sunstreaker isn't leaving until the rest of this world gets a look at the sleekest Autobot of the bunch, and if any Decepticon dares to mess with the finish, he'll get 2 ground-to-air missiles stuffed where he won't want them. If you were as fast as Cliffjumper, Sunstreaker, you wouldn't worry about your finish, and while I'm dodging fire, my glass gas can make any Decepticon brittle as ice. Well, Brawn don't need any gas to rip things up. Nobody's stronger than me. One punch and you're building, or Decepticons goes bye-bye. Sideswipe's right up there with you, Brawn. I use my arms as pile drivers. I admit it's a little rash to rush headlong at Decepticon fortifications, but not one of them stopped me yet. Frankly, I'd rather be elsewhere hunting turbo foxes than with you roughnecks, but while we're here, my electro disruptor is charged up. It not only interferes with Decepticon circuitry, but it makes me appear where I'm not. That's why I'm Mirage. Nice to hear you got your name, Mirage. Now I got mine, Blue Streak, by being as fast as a Blue Streak, whatever that is. Some wise guys even said I talk a Blue Streak, whatever that is. Anyway, here I am. Listening to you, Blue Streak, takes even the endless patience of Prowl. I have little to say, but my logic center dictates the most advantageous course of action in any situation. Well, that is neato, Prowl, but me, Jazz, I'd like to just cruise around and take in the sights. And I've got to fight. Well, my photon rifle and overhead flamethrowers can make things hot for the big nasties. You burn 'em, Jazz, but let Hound sniff them out for you. My infrared radiation collector makes me the best tracker on or off Cybertron. And if I ever get lost, my hologram gun projects terrain maps to get me back on track. Just let Wind Charger zoom ahead and scrap a Decepticon between my magnetic arms. I'll take in this planet's scenery later. The only thing Gears wants to learn about is this planet is how to get off of it. I hate this place already. I just know you're going to use me as a mobile transport unit again once we have to set up. Nuts. Let's go home. Well, at least you don't have to patch Autobots up like old Ratchet does. When one of us busts himself up playing hero, I've got the tools to fix anything. Even though I'd rather be partying than tinkering. And Wheeljack is the guy you've got to patch up most. I can't help it. I love to mess with gadgets, especially our weaponry, like my shoulder cannons. I try to be more careful, but sometimes it doesn't work. Thanks for being around, Ratchet, old buddy. I don't know how many times I, Trailbreaker, had to use my force field projector and hide behind my own barrier when you're experimenting with those shrapnel shells. You're worse than a wild Decepticon, Wheeljack. At least we can be thankful that all of us have survived to this point, and perhaps even our Ark is not irretrievably damaged. What say you, Huffer? I don't need any detailed analysis to know the damage was extreme, but I guess I'll have to take a sensor survey to see just how great. I'll try my best to effect repairs, but I don't have much hope. I'm really afraid we're stranded on this scrap ball forever. Don't always be so pessimistic, Huffer. It's hard enough to keep everyone's gears in gear without you gumming up their motivation circuits. My comrades, we must accept the sad truth that Cybertron may no longer even exist. But if it does, I swear as leader of the Autobots, I shall return us there someday. But our immediate concern must be the repair of the Ark and the learning of all we can of this alien world where fate has cast us. Let Auntie transmit signals she is receiving from across the world and place them on the monitor screens that we may partake of knowledge, our greatest weapon. For the next few hours, the Autobots stand motionless, their memory receptors absorbing masses of information regarding the machine life that seems predominant upon this planet. Soon, armed with the knowledge, they will venture forth. Life. The Ark sensors did not detect it here those millennia ago when we sought to pass through the asteroid belt nearby. And all of it unaware of the Decepticon menace in its midst, our mission is clear. The renegade Decepticons are to be found and defeated. It's our fault they are here. Thus, initiating my reconnaissance missions will be far more exciting than logistics gathering, Optimus. Agreed, Hound. But let us never forget our primary purpose, to spare this world from the scourge we have unwittingly unleashed upon it.
Elsewhere in the state of Oregon, life, carbon-based, goes on. Uh-oh, I can hear it coming. Here's where I get the "where were you after school" lecture, but I can't blame Dad. He's right. Buster, son, I've tried to be understanding. I know you haven't got the slightest interest in cars or mechanical things, but regardless, there are still times when I need you here. Sorry, Dad. You know I'm in the literary scholarship program, and there's so much library work involved, I have to stay after school sometimes. But if I do get that scholarship, it'll mean you have a lot less bills to pay when I go to college. I know you're doing your best, son, but you've always got your nose buried in a book, and that bothers me. I just wish you were doing something more useful to you, something that'll lead to a job one day. Know what I mean? Well, I've just about got everything wrapped up here now, so go ahead if you want to go to the movies with your buddies, okay? Just be back by 10. On the dot. I'll see you, Dad. Buster, I hope you know I'm only thinking of you. The world is full of folks that'll eat you right up if you don't show them you can do something. And that you learn by living, not reading. Not far away, a hitchhiker seeks a ride on a lonely highway winding down the side of Mount St. Hilary. I've had my thumb out all day and I ain't seen a single car. Looks like I may be hoofing it all the way to town. Whoa, maybe I spoke too soon, but that can't be one car making all that noise. It sounds like the Indy 500. Holy smokes, a whole slew of cars traveling at top speed and nobody's driving? Well, Prowl, you're leading this expedition, so when do I get to start throwing punches? Optimus has assigned us the task of reconnaissance, Brawn. We are to avoid hostile contact unless absolutely necessary. I'm with Brawn. Let me at him. Stay in line, Cliff Jumper. You'll get your chance on my command only. Want to bet, Brawn? I'll be the first to spot an Earthling? What do you make of all this, Hound? Nobody notices things like you do. I just wish I had half your tracking talents. I'm too busy sorting my impressions out to give you an opinion, Bumblebee, but I'll let you know. Prowl, my turret scope has locked onto some vital machine signs just over this ridge. Prepare for contact, Autobots, defensive modes if necessary. Reaching the top of the ridge, the transformed Autobots draw silently to a stop. Sensors sweeping the scene below, they strain to understand what it is they are scanning. Is that them, Prowl? Have we found the Earthlings? I don't know, Bumblebee. They look like the inhabitants the Ark scanned. But what was that giant screen? What were they all doing assembled before it? Probably some kind of religious ritual, Hound. Why would machines worship moving pictures of strange objects? The only way we're going to find out, Bumblebee, is to ask. High above. This is Decepticon Laserbeak reporting to Decepticon leader Megatron. The Autobots have ventured forth from the volcano and seek to make contact with the planet's inhabitants. Laserbeak's message causes consternation among the Decepticons assembled on an inaccessible mountain peak. The Autobots in alliance with the inhabitants of Earth?
We cannot allow that, Megatron. We have already learned that Earth possesses abundant fuel resources that we can exploit for the conquest of this world. We must deny those resources to our enemies. Go forth then, my Decepticons. Destroy the Autobots.
Their curiosity piqued by the strange ritual, the Autobots move into the drive-in. All right, how many? Come on, you pay by the head, you know. And they speed right past the startled cashier. I'm going to be the first to greet an Earthling. Bumblebee, come back. We must reconnoiter first. You can't check the exuberance of youth, Prowl. And in a nearby car, hey, Buster, Jesse, could you two disengage so I can see the movie? Sorry, what the heck? We've been hit. Bumped from behind by a fender-bending beetle. That'll cream me. Listen, you, I say that's weird. No one's in there. Did its brake slip so it rolled into Dad's car? Or is this some kind of joke? Jumping jet fighters, this place has just become a war zone. Buster, we've got to get away from here. You and old go for help, Jess. I've got to stay. How could I possibly tell that I thought I heard this Volkswagen cry out in pain and no one's inside? I have to find out what happened here. This is almost beyond belief. The Decepticons have launched an assault and the Earth vehicles have done absolutely nothing to defend themselves. This strange ritual be so overwhelming an experience that it has put the Earth robots in a trance? Or was the data from the Ark wrong? I must put my logic circuits to work on this. Prowl, I don't intend on sitting here all day being used for target practice. I say we make a stand here and now. I had hoped to Optimus we could avoid this, but it seems our adversaries have left us little choice. Assume defensive configurations. Now you're talking my lingo. I told Megatron this frontal assault tactic he's so fond of is foolish. Thundercracker, guile, and stealth are far more effective than missiles in the long run. We have to follow Megatron's way. It's been successful up till now. I don't think we should openly defy him as you've been known to do, Starscream. Get close to me, because I can take the brute of their firepower without much flinching. Come, Starscream, you surely don't fear to strike at a foe that is unable to fly, do you? Try to take a bite out of me, will you, Laserbeak? Well, here's something to chew on. I'll hold my attack for just a moment until the Decepticon scum gets just within range. And then, Thundercracker, look, Cliffjumper is alone. Slay him! You have obviously never flown in the face of my glass gas gun. Yah, the gas coats me, making my metal brittle and breakable as glass. Fly, Thundercracker, fly! I hope my comrades have witnessed my triumph, but Cliffjumper's companions had other concerns at the moment. We must not let the battle divert us from locating our friend Bumblebee. The little one may be lying somewhere, hurt or worse. Hound's tracking abilities would soon pick up Bumblebee's trail, but were not the Autobots' immediate location revealed to the Decepticons by one who skulks in the shadows. Ravage, finally you reveal yourself, Master Spy. Now, back to your leader Megatron and tell him who defeated you this day. I can imagine Ravage's anger were he to learn that he fled from nothing, mere three-dimensional holograms cast by my turret gun. It will only be a matter of time before my concussion cannon strikes, and there will be 2 less Autobots clanking around. Cliffjumper, my logic circuits have determined the Ark was in error. Look, do you see the movement exhibited by those bizarre-looking objects? Yes, but what does it mean? It means that the mechanical vehicles we saw were not alive, but those small figures are. That's why the vehicles made no movement to defend themselves. They are not sentient. When they moved upon the roadways we saw, the small beings were controlling them. What we are seeing is non-machine life, As hard as that may be to accept, that's the only logical explanation. Obviously, this changes things considerably. What should we do next? Next, we report our findings to Optimus Prime, in person. Radio waves can be monitored. Only he possesses the wisdom we need to deal with these new contingencies. Follow me to the Ark, Autobots. What of our small friend Bumblebee? Perhaps he was not injured too badly and has already left. In any case, we must leave immediately and draw the Decepticons' fire, because these non-mechanical life forms do not appear capable of defending themselves. And not far away, the noises coming from this car are really weird, almost like crying. It's been badly damaged, leaking something that looks like, but isn't oil. And I haven't got the slightest idea what to do for it. I'm no mechanic. That's Dad's field. Dad, say, if I can get this bug to his garage, he'll know how to patch it up. And so Buster Witwicky climbs behind Bumblebee's wheel, only to discover no key, no ignition, no gas. Does this car start? All by itself? It's moving out slowly, sluggishly. It seems like all I'm doing is guiding its way. From the battlefield, holy smokes, am I dreaming, or are those big robots who were fighting the planes just change into cars? Buster gets no chance, however, to further observe the Autobots' escape, for subject only to his stepping it where he wants to go. The yellow Volkswagen whisks him away. Later that night. What the deuce? Somebody's messing around in my garage. What's that oil? Buster, that you, son? What the devil? Dad, listen. Hey, don't tell me. After all my years of trying to get you to put down the poetry and pick up a monkey wrench, it looks like you finally took your old dad's advice. Fixing cars on the side, are you? Dad, I can explain. No need to explain, son. My shop's your shop. Use it any time you want. But I just want you to know, son, that I'm proud of you. Right proud. Dad, I wouldn't know how to fix a car if I tried. That's why I brought this one to you. Only it's not a car. It's got wheels, boy, and fenders and headlights, too. What would you call it? Alive? Help me, please. I'm dying. Thank you all so much for watching. This has been Autobot Dawson. Again, sorry if I missed some of the voice lines and things of that nature. I had to actually scan the physical comic book, so some of the images didn't come out perfect. What may look clear on your end was not entirely clear as I was reading it here live. But I think most of it went pretty well. So thanks for watching. Until next time, this is Autobot Dawson, rolling out.